Hi, my name's Kate and I'm going to be showing you how to make Tomatillo-Black Bean Salsa today. I'm going to start by I've got some olive oil heating up here in a pan. I'm going to add some minced onion, kind of get the onion going a little bit. It's on medium-high heat. This is a tomatillo. This is how you'd see it in the store. They have this husk on the outside, but don't be afraid of it. It just comes right off. And they're usually a little sticky. That's kind of just a normal thing about them. So usually I just rinse them off a little bit, kind of get some of that stickiness gone. And a lot of people think that tomatillos are kind of like tomatoes, but they're actually not related to tomatoes at all. I believe they're technically related to the gooseberry, but you can see how the inside is very different than a tomato. It's not nearly as kind of watery on the inside. And they do have a lot of water in them, but it's just a very different kind of makeup than a tomato. So we're just going to chop these just like you would if you were making a salsa. You want kind of similar size chop that you would with a tomato. You know, tomatillos, if you've never cooked with them before, they're really not scary. They're just kind of a nice variation to tomato-based salsas and sauces. And you don't really want to eat tomatillos raw. They kind of have like almost a sour tanginess to them, and you really want to kind of cook them down to kind of mellow that flavor out a little bit. So I'm going to add these tomatillos to my onion. Got about 12 tomatillos here, I think. It's about 1.5 pounds. And you'll see that it'll cook down, and they'll really kind of start to break apart a little bit, which is exactly what you want. This is going to turn into a really nice sauce, and all of the liquid is actually going to come from the tomatillos. You don't need to add any sort of stock or anything. They kind of just cook down on their own. And I'm also going to add some jalapeno for heat. I've got about 1 jalapeno seeded here. I'm going to start by adding about half of it because it's always easier to add more later. I've also used like canned pepper before, or even sriracha sauce. Kind of up to you what sort of heat you want and how much heat you want. And then the other thing I'm going to add while this is starting to cook, just a little bit of sugar, because like I said, it's got kind of a tanginess to it, and the sugar just kind of helps in the end to sweeten it up a little bit. So I'm going to let this cook for probably about 8 to 10 minutes until you really start to see the tomatillos break down. Like I said, they'll lose some of that vibrant green. They'll start to turn into more of a dull green, and there'll be a lot more liquid in the pan. All right, so the tomatillos have been cooking for about 10 minutes. You can see all the liquid that's come out of them and how they've kind of cooked down. Like I said, the green has changed a little bit, and on a couple of them you can really see how they've broken down and disintegrated a little bit, which is exactly what you want. So now that this has cooked down, I'm just going to turn down the heat a little bit, and I'm going to add some other ingredients. I've got black beans and some corn. Some chopped cilantro. And some garlic. And to this I'm also going to add some salt and pepper. A little bit of kosher salt. Some pepper. Basically, we're going to let this kind of all cook together for another few minutes, 2 to 3, I'd say, because the corn and the beans are already cooked. You're really just trying to heat them up a little bit and kind of get everything incorporated. Definitely want to taste it to see if it needs a little bit more sugar, a little bit more salt, a little bit more heat. I've got the rest of my jalapeno here if I need it. But this is pretty much what it's going to look like. When it's done, we're just going to let it kind of simmer and let all the flavors incorporate. All right, so everything has been simmering for another few minutes. You can see how the liquid has reduced a little bit. Everything's really nicely incorporated. I tasted it. I added a little bit more sugar, a little bit more spice, but it's totally up to you and kind of what your preference is. I'm just going to spoon some of this into here. This is really good hot or cold, unlike some salsas. It's nice with tortilla chips. I've also had it as a sauce over chicken or fish, which is also delicious. You can just put a little bit of sour cream on the top and a little extra cilantro. So try it at your next get-together. Enjoy.